What's up, everybody? I'm Alan Seslowsky, and thanks for tuning back into RosterWatch. One of the biggest thrills for year-round fantasy football players is watching the incoming rookie class and where they land. Team context and situation will dictate the opportunity. Opportunity is directly correlated to fantasy points. The other side is monitoring the veterans on the teams that acquire these rookies and what happens to their fantasy football value. Today, we're going to talk about a few players, veteran players, that lost value after day 2 of the NFL draft. First player I want to talk about is Melvin Gordon, the running back on the Denver Broncos. There aren't many who believe Melvin Gordon's an excellent running back from a skills perspective. Gordon's averaged about 4.1 yards per carry over the course of his career. To put that number in context, the best NFL running backs on any given year usually average over 5.5 yards per carry. Aside from his modest efficiency, Melvin Gordon's been an excellent fantasy football running back for the better part of a half decade. Aside from his rookie season, where he scored 0 touchdowns, you could usually project Gordon for 8 to 10 touchdowns in any given season. All looked well for Melvin Gordon heading into 2021. That is, until the Denver Broncos traded up in round 2 to draft Javonte Williams, the rookie running back out of North Carolina. There were rumors that the Miami Dolphins were going to draft Javonte Williams, which probably prompted the Denver Broncos to trade up. Rookie running backs usually produce in year 1, and certainly in their first contract are their prime years. Now, Melvin Gordon's not going to be deemed useless for fantasy football, but he goes from being a low-end RB1 all the way down to a projectable RB2. The second player I'd like to talk about is Raheem Mostert, the running back on the San Francisco 49ers. Mostert was shaping up to be the 2021 zero RB player in drafts. As a refresher, the zero RB strategy is a fantasy football draft strategy where players take wide receivers and tight ends early while their league mates fight over all of the running backs. The idea is for zero running back players to get the best wide receivers and tight ends, and they can find the non-desirable running backs later with starting jobs in round 6 or 7. Mostert fits that description to a T. Mostert was projected to get about a 60% touch share in an elite offense like the San Francisco 49ers have. Mostert's not been able to stay healthy on a consistent basis, but that's already priced into his late round ADP. The San Francisco 49ers drafted running back Trey Sermon out of Ohio State in the 3rd round. Sermon profiles as a 3-down running back with requisite size, but he's not a burner like Raheem Mostert, but he is excellent at reading defenses and finding the open space to gain yards. Sermon's not going to steal the primary touches from Mostert, but can do enough to make Mostert unusable at his current ADP. The 49ers drafted another capable running back in the 4th round in Elijah Mitchell. Perhaps we'll get some clarity during the offseason with the San Francisco running back room, but for now, Mostert is one of the players who lost the most fantasy football value after day 2. A few other players that lost value after day 2 of the NFL draft. Robby Anderson, the wide receiver on the Carolina Panthers. Anderson was a pleasant surprise in 2020 and was looking like a nice value in the later rounds as a wide receiver 3. The Panthers drafted Terrace Marshall out of LSU in the 2nd round. Now, Marshall's going to take a few minutes to get up to speed, but that may not take too long as his offensive coordinator in Carolina, Joe Brady, was his college coach as well. Jamison Crowder on the New York Jets also lost fantasy football value. The Jets drafted Elijah Moore in the 2nd round. There's talk that Crowder will be cut, and Crowder was one of those safe wide receiver 3s if you needed to get bailed out in the later rounds of your draft. Currently, undraftable until we find out exactly where Jamison Crowder is going to be for the season. Last, the Arizona wide receivers Christian Kirk and Andy Isabella. Kirk has a chance at value, but took a major hit when Arizona drafted promising wide receiver prospect Rondale Moore out of Purdue. Moore is a fun player to watch. He's short in stature, but delivers the hits to the defense after he catches the ball. Andy Isabella is completely off the fantasy radar. Okay, RosterWatch Nation, that's it for today. Tell us in the comments who you think lost the most fantasy football value after day 2. Till next time, goodbye.